I don't have to tell you things are bad. Everybody knows things are bad. Everybody's out of work or scared of losing their job. The dollar buys a nickel's worth. Banks are going bust. Shopkeepers keep a gun under the counter. Punks are running wild in the street, and there's nobody anywhere who seems to know what to do, and there's no end to it. The air is unfit to breathe, and our food is unfit to eat. And we sit watching our TVs while some local newscaster tells us that today we had 15 homicides and 63 violent crimes, as if that's the way it's supposed to be. We know things are bad, worse than bad. It's like everything everywhere is going crazy, so we don't go out anymore. We sit in the house, and slowly the world we're living in is getting smaller, and all we say is, please, at least leave us alone in our living rooms. Let me have my toaster and my TV and my steel-belted radios, and I won't say anything. Just leave us alone. Well, I'm not going to leave you alone. I want you to get mad. I don't want you to protest. I don't want you to riot. I don't want you to write to your congressman because I wouldn't know what to tell you to write. I don't know what to do about the depression and the inflation and the Russians and the crime in the street. All I know is that first, you've got to get mad. You've got to say, I'm a human being. God damn it. My life has value. So, I want you to get up now. I want all of you to get up out of your chairs. I want you to get up right now and go to the window, open it, and stick your head out and yell, I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore.
No more! All right, hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome. Hey, sorry for the delay. This time, amazingly, it was not my fault. For whatever reason, Thursday, May 16th, 2024, is a higher than normal day for folks operating on the Duck, otherwise known as StreamYard. So I don't know, but StreamYard's been pissing me off here lately, and so I don't know. I've been looking at a couple of other you guys don't care about that. I've been looking at a couple of other things, so I don't know. We might keep the Duck. We might experiment around. We don't know. We like to experiment around here. Hey, I got to say to you guys.
Speak for yourself about the experimenting. I'm the one that has to run the buttons in the back.
Well, it would only get easier if we move anything away, and we would make sure that Kate would love it no matter what it was. So that's the number one thing. All right. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show. We're only 15 minutes late. Like, look, I've got no problem keeping you guys waiting if it's me. Like, you know, that's what the lead singer does. But I do not like it when the Duck keeps you waiting. That makes me mad. So, all right. Well, I'm over it. Everybody's doing well. I hope you guys had a great day. It's been a fantastic day where I've been. We've been doing a lot of work, getting a lot of things done. It's been kind of an interesting day in the fight against political corruption, I would say. And we're going to be talking about all of that. Matter of fact, if you watched last night's show and you really loved last night's show and you thought, I wish I could watch episode 203 again, but in live time and it be new again, that's exactly what we're going to be doing tonight. This is episode 204. We are going to have an amazing show. You are going to love every moment of this. We're going to be covering great topics that you guys need to know about. Of course, those topics are going to be very familiar. You know, who could say deja vu? We all can, because we're going to be talking about the city of Muncie and a very crazy redevelopment commission meeting. Not the Board of Works this time, redevelopment commission meeting. And then we're going to move on to the news coverage from Fox 59 of Henry County and their most ignorant sheriff, John Sproles. Who would have thought 2 days in a row? 2 days in a row. Number one, yesterday we talked about the city of Muncie. Number two, we talked about Henry County. Today we're talking about the city of Muncie. And number two, we're going to talk about Henry County. And while a lot of it is the same, it's going to be a lot of interesting news for you. It's going to be fantastic. It's going to be great. Kate's put up here appropriately titled banner, A Meeting in a Moron. Honestly, that could be attributed to like 90% of every episode that we do, honestly. Chris Bunner says, I do watch or listen 2 or 3 times, though, throughout the night because I can't stay awake that long. I like it when you watch in little bits and pieces. That's fine. It gives us more view times, and so I'm down with that. Doing the same thing, Christopher. Streaming sites are paying. Yeah, it should be far more user friendly than it is. So, I also am in the process of. You see this little white band here that says "sure," like it's not because I'm like happy and sure of myself with a weird spelling error here. That's the brand of mic that it is. It's a Shure microphone. And this little branding here and the Shure at the bottom here, I'm getting ready to replace that with our logo. It's going to say, like, it'll say the political spotlight there. It'll be this exact band. It'll just say the political spotlight with our colors. And then down here on the butt plate, it will be like our round logo. So that'll be kind of cool. It'll be this logo that's up here on the top, the PS logo. It's pretty cool. I've been experimenting around with the exact right size sticker that would go over my microphones here. So again, something that you guys really don't care anything about, but I do because I like toys and fun and neat. All right, so let's get into it. We've got a great show to talk to you guys about. More chaos. Like this is, I guess, kind of like a part 1 and a part 2. So we will get there. Before we get into the meat of the show, mind you, I had a English teacher in high school that would tell us to write stories like a hamburger or a cheeseburger rather. And you like the bun, which is like the intro and the outro. And then you've got like the little special extra stuff like the lettuce and the cheese and bacon bits or whatever. And then the meat. Well, before we get into the meat of it, we've got to talk about all this YouTube stuff. And by that, I mean, like this episode, if you have not already, you should have already liked it because we've been talking about amazing stuff. But if you have not hit that like button, please consider doing it now so you don't forget and run out of here like deadbeats that doesn't give up the like, you know. And if you do hit that like button, but if you have not hit the subscribe button, please consider doing that. It's fantastic. If you hit that subscribe button, it doesn't cost you anything, but then it allows you to then hit the bell, which would allow you to get notified when we are live. If we go live 15 minutes late because something's not working or I'm running late, if whichever one of those things is working, it would let you know when we go live. And of course, more than anything, we want you to comment. And if you go over here and comment in the live chat box, if you're watching live, we would appreciate it because we are a very interactive show. If you're watching on repeat on your own time, comment in the comment box down here. And above all else, share the show with everyone you know. So, yeah, like this basically is a part 2 to last night's show. Last night's show, we focused on the stupidity in the city of Muncie. And then we focused on the stupidity of the Henry County Sheriff's Department being led by King Stupid himself. And amazingly, we are here again today because there were two different things that happened that led us down this path. There was another meeting today. We talked about it last night. It was the Muncie Redevelopment Commission meeting. And I've got to tell you, in my opinion, it was even more screwed up than the meeting yesterday. I am convinced that the city of Muncie, Dan Ridenour, his administration, his goons, the Dan addicts, the cheerleaders, I'm convinced that they are all to the point where they are saying, we're done. We don't care about communication. We don't care about transparency. We don't care about accountability. We don't care about slowing government down. We've never cared about any of those things. We don't care about putting the best people in the right places. We don't care about improving relationships between the city and the county. Remember these 6 little pieces of bullcrap that the mayor fed us? You know, you remember that? You remember back in 2018 and 2019, back when he was running to be the knight in shining armor? Okay. I don't know about the knight in shining armor. I do know that he might be the king of pho, though. So, all right. Well, here's the deal. I am convinced that these people have just said, we don't care what people want to know. We do not care what the questions are. We're going to do what we want to do, and that's it, and that's that. Joe Tompkins says, I put an APA request in for a copy of the Henry County Sheriff's Pursuit Policy, and they sent me a DVD copy of Smokey and the Bandit. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and we're going to talk about that. The sheriff sent an email to the reporter, the investigative journalist from Fox 59, Steve Brown, last night, telling him, like, you're a liar. You're a big fat doo-doo head. Like, I don't understand what they're doing. I actually went there. It was worse than what I thought last night when we got off the show. I went there to look around, and they were literally in there like a bunch of high school drama. I don't mean like drama class. I'm not making fun of those in drama. I'm saying like drama-filled high school kids. I was going to say girls, but I won't just say girls. It could be girls and boys, but a bunch of brats that were in there just being completely ignorant in the comment section. And the thing that gets me is there's still an active investigation going. The state police is still investigating the crash, what led up to it, what occurred during it, how it all went together. The city of Muncie is still investigating it. The Delaware County Prosecutor's Office is still investigating it. And the elected prosecutor of Delaware County, Eric Hoffman, has stated on the record that he has not ruled out charging Strelecki. And you have the sheriff of Henry County and his sister and the chief deputy and his son literally going on to Fox 59 and bullying them in the comments. No, oh no. No, Joe Tompkins, I can tell you with absolute certainty that Fox 59 is not done. They are on it. They are on him. They know they've got his number. And all of the people that are on there, I feel sorry. It's all of the people on there commenting that are on his side. I get what they're doing. They're on there, thin blue lining it up. We support the police and bad guys never, good guys forever kind of thing, you know? But they just don't know. They're like the guy, they're like the Shriner from yesterday's meeting at the council, at the Board of Works meeting. They're just sitting around, they don't know. So I tried having a dialogue with several of them and said, hey, you might want to check out some more information. You can go here to find out more. And I've actually had several of them contact me and been like, oh, yeah, we didn't know all of this. So I will let you know. We're getting ready to go into the Muncie stuff, but I know that the Henry County people, they were really good last night, and we did Henry County second. We are going to do Henry County second again tonight, but the Muncie part won't be as long, but I just wanted to give them a little bit of taste up here at the front. This would be the pizzazz of the bun, the ketchup, I guess. I will let you know that I did complete my APRA request for the Henry County Sheriff's Department. And I requested the GPS data from Sproles' vehicle. And essentially what I did is I requested it during a 24-hour period. So I basically requested it from like 5 o'clock in the morning on the 18th through 5 o'clock in the morning on the 19th. So we'll see what happens. That will be interesting to see what we get there. I could be wrong. I could be wrong, but I think it's going to tell us an interesting story. And I think that once we get that, that's going to blow the lid off of some stuff. And I might be wrong. And if it is, I'll come out here and I'll say I was wrong. He was home. Everything was fine. You know, look, I'll put it to you this way. If he was truly home and he somehow made it from his home to Tillotson and McGalliard in 16 minutes, that might be an even bigger problem than what I'm originally thinking. So I'll keep you guys posted. You'll know as soon as I know. All right. Onward to the city of Muncie. We've got to talk about this meeting today. Give me 1 second. Let's get this pulled up here. Yeah, man. This redevelopment commission meeting. So generally, I would say that the Board of Works meetings are like your McDonald's or Wendy's. You know, they're your like fast food stop-through restaurant. And the redevelopment commission is kind of like your Olive Garden. I mean, so it's not by any means a fancy restaurant, but they think they fancy. You know, they think they fancy. So it's a little bit more fancy-ish than like McDonald's. You know, you go there for high school prom or whatever. So it's a little bit more upper class kind of how they run things, and they like always whisper in there and do all that stuff. And the only one that always shocks me is Shreen Wigley with her vocal fry. Okay, that thing goes on. Today they completely said, we can be as low class as everyone else, man. Like, I thought they were going to get in there and throw punches, and it was all because some man decided to ask a question. Okay. And the question that he was asking are questions that I've been asking for the last couple of years. I know Shreen, I do it every now and then when I talk about both of you in the same sphere. I do that. Charlize Jameson has been asking the same question for the last several years. I know that Charlize has been asking what in the heck is going on. So, I know that we're not the only two people in Muncie that's like, what's going on? What's going on with all of these economic development things? Yeah, right, Kate? Absolutely. So I think that enough people finally got a hold of Andrew Dale. Andrew Dale is on the Redevelopment Commission. And look, I get it. Andrew Dale is not everybody's cup of tea. I get it. I get it. And if Andrew Dale was running for Congress, I probably wouldn't vote for him for Congress because I know he's a little bit lefty out there. I get it. But I can respect Andrew for asking the questions that he's asking, and I can respect his position on the Muncie Redevelopment Commission. I know that Dan Ridenhour absolutely hates it because I know that Andrew doesn't have any fear. He'll ask the questions, and he like they think that he's getting all obnoxious, but he wasn't. He was, you know, it reminds me in The Big Lebowski when the dude and Walter are arguing, and the dude is getting mad at Walter. I think it's when they're in the cafe and he just got the toe sent to him, and Walter's like, I'm calmer than you are. And he's like yelling. He's like, I'm calmer than you are. That reminds me of like what happened in this meeting. All right. That is exactly what happened in this meeting. So let's go and watch some of this meeting so you guys can be in on some of the same gags. I don't know how many of you watch this. I'm telling you, it doesn't matter where you're from. If you're from Muncie, if you're from Anderson, if you're from Henry County, stick around. We're going to get to your crazy ass sheriff. I promise you it's worth it. But you're going to enjoy this insanity. Okay? We're not going to, if the whole meeting's an hour and 33 minutes long, we're not going to watch the whole meeting. Again, I've done the same thing that I did last night. You can go to Facebook and watch it, but some of you I know don't have Facebook. So what I've done is I have taken that and I've put it in the description of this YouTube episode. So for those of you, if you want to watch it, you can go with the whole thing. You can go click on it in the description, but we're going to play it here. Elizabeth says, I saw all but the last 20 minutes. I was coming out of my seat. Oh, crap. Well, if you have not watched the last 20 minutes, then you've not even seen it, because the last 20 minutes is the whole thing. I mean, last 20 minutes is like what makes it all. And yes, it's definitely better than the Board of Works. In better, I mean, it's more sad, it's more depressing, it's more disgusting, it's ridiculous, and they're complete idiots. This is what has let me know that Ridenhour's administration has given up. They are no longer in the business of saying, we are trying to communicate, we are trying to be transparent, we are trying to be accountable, we're trying to slow government down. They are no longer in the business of saying that. With today's meeting, they are now saying, here's our flag. We don't care what you guys think. we're doing it our way. If you don't like it, tough shit. Okay. That's the flag they hung out today.
2024 meeting of the Muncie Redevelopment Commission. We will call this meeting to order and start with roll call. Mr. Bishop?
Here.
Mr. Dale?
Present.
Mr. Miller's here. Mr. Probilla had to be absent today. Ms. Wagley?
Here.
And Mr. Lowe is absent today as well.
Yes.
We can go ahead and move forward with looking over the agenda. Does anybody have any additions or anything to the agenda? If not, I'll take a motion.
Motion to approve.
Okay.
Second.
Second.
So,
Okay. Mr. Bishop?
FYI, so you guys will understand, essentially what happens here is this board is a 5-person board. 2 people. Wait a minute. How many people's on the board? Andrew, Pribella.
There's 5.
Yeah, it's a 5-member board with like an advisory person. And so there's a 6th person, but he doesn't vote. So the advisory guy's out today, whatever. But Pribella is out. So there's 4 people. Now, of this board, of this 5-person board, there are 3 people that are Ridenauer picks. They're Ridenauer fans, and they're going to do everything that Ridenauer wants. There are then also 2 people that are not Ridenauer fans. They were put there by the council, and they are Andrew Dale and Zane Bishop. Andrew Dale is the guy in the suit jacket we're going to see here in a minute, and Zane Bishop is the guy in the pink shirt with like dots on it, with the shaved kind of buzzed head with the glasses. Okay, so and then there's obviously Isaac Miller, who's the president. We can't stand him. He's Mr. Smug. And then, of course, Kim Kardashian with the vocal fry on the end is Shireen Wigley.
Yes.
Mr. Dale?
Yep.
Mr. Miller, yes. Mr. Miller is absent. Ms. Wagley?
Yes.
Okay, motion passes. Next up, we will move on to the approval of the minutes from the previous meeting. You all should have copies of that. And then are there any additions that would like to be made?
Yeah. I've offered up 5 additions, which I sent to everyone last night, that are substantive portions of last meeting that I think should be included in the minutes.
They don't like when he does this. Andrew's very adamant about having the minutes be as they should, which I am too, and I love it. It's something I like that he does. They hate it.
Okay.
Make a motion to approve the minutes as submitted.
Second.
They don't even give any thought to what Andrew said. Andrew's like, I made some, I sent you guys out some submissions that I think should be added here. And Shireen just comes in, make a motion as submitted. We're not even interested in hearing what Andrew's got to say. Now, I don't know what happens here because I missed this part of the meeting. So this is going to be fun.
Any further discussion?
Which submission?
Pardon?
Which submission?
The original.
Well, I've moved that we submit as amended.
Well, I believe we had, was it your motion?
That was my motion. Yep.
Okay, I
I
didn't hear a
didn't hear it
second.
as a motion. Okay.
I didn't hear that.
I'll move it as a motion. The amendments as presented.
Okay, well, first, I think if I'm understanding right, Ms. Freeman, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but we have a motion from Ms. Wagley in a second. So I believe that's on the table first. And then we can move on to your motion. And if there's a second, we'll hear that one if it's on the table. So let's go ahead and take a vote on.
Well, there's been a motion. I would say procedurally, you need to make sure that the first motion fails for lack of second prior to the second motion. And
Yes.
That's what I'm saying. I think Ms.
I-
Wagley's motion was first because
Mhm.
I didn't think he stated his as a
He
motion.
didn't.
Well, I think he's clarified the record that he did intend for it to be a motion.
Okay, so then
So-
we can start there. So
Yeah,
Mr.
he
Dale's
has
made his
the
motion.
floor
Thank
first.
Okay,
So
that's
I
fair.
would say leave the floor open for a second and then take a vote or then move on.
Okay, so Mr. Dale's motion is first. Do we have a second for Mr. Dale's motion?
Second.
Whoa, ding,
We
ding,
can go ahead
ding,
and
ding,
take
ding.
roll on that if there's no further discussion. Mr. Bishop?
Yes.
Mr. Dale?
Yep.
Mr. Miller, no. Ms. Wagley?
No.
So it's
Okay.
a tie.
That's no action taken on that motion then. Ms. Wagley, your motion and second are now on the floor. Do we have any further discussion on Ms.
Tell us
Wagley's
what happens
motion?
here.
No? Okay, we'll take a call on that. Mr. Bishop?
Yes.
Mr. Dale?
No.
Mr. Miller, yes. Ms. Wagley?
Yes.
Motion passes 3-1.
Now, Zane, in my opinion, voted yes just because he would have probably voted. He should have voted no. It could have died for. I mean, this is games, folks. This is game playing at its finest, at its most ridiculous. This is nonsensical. Why would you not want to put everything that happened in the minutes? Just add them and move on.
Next up, we'll hear from Mr. Wright on the claims, please.
Oh, this is here comes Mr. Clean.
Good morning. I sent out the claims yesterday afternoon. Really not much on. We did have some utilities on there and still have some utilities for the Y. And of course, we've got some yard maintenance as far as mowing this time of year. And with that, I will open it up to any questions you might have.
You answered my questions, really appreciate that.
Yeah.
But again, on the design and development plan from USI Consultants for Columbus Street, it was on the last, third to last page, $49,108. Are we going to see those plans at some point shortly? And that's not a question maybe for you, but it'll be a question I have a little later unless somebody wants, maybe Jeff wants to answer it now.
Yeah, but that's for the Columbus Avenue, North Walnut Street, the Greenway Pocket Park.
Yeah. Have we been invoiced for those types of services before for that particular project?
We get invoices from USI all the time, depending on the project. I mean, they're on various projects.
I was wondering on that particular project. It seems it's a lot, and I'm not questioning the amount at all, but it would seem that we're advanced into the design phase, and I'm curious if we're going to see some design soon.
So, as far as seeing those, I'll let Jeff or the mayor go with that.
Further discussion?
I'll ask it again later.
Yep. Any further discussion on the claims today? Okay, I'll take a motion to pass the claims.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Bishop. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Wagley. Mr. Bishop?
Yes.
Mr. Dale?
Yes.
Mr. Miller, yes. Ms. Wagley?
Yes.
Okay, claims pass
Thank you.
4-0. Thank you. And Mr. Howe, you've got a lot of updates for us today.
All right. Here we go.
Thank you.
Strap in.
Thank you.
So in the financials, as is always the case at the top are the focus funds in the respective TIFs. The mall TIF has 412,000. The Maddox TIF has 8,300. Central TIF has 120. Southside TIF has 89. Delaware Dynamics TIF is at 119. Village Parking Garage TIF has 38,000. Then we have the funds that are focused for the Markets on Madison project, the White River Loft Phase 2 project, the Till Pond and the parks. And I think there's some updates in the second page.
So listen, he's mentioned several different things that are just bam, 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 bam. A couple of those things are things of interest. The Markets on Madison Street, the Till Pond. Did he say something about the skating park? Maybe not. I don't know, but definitely Till Pond, Markets on Madison. And so listen to that, because those are going to be points of contention here in a minute.
As it relates to some of the park spending. So all that we get to the total focused funds is at, the total focused funds is 2.7, a little over $2.7 million. And then we have the cash and MRC on non-focused funds is at 500, just under 550,000. Then
I'm for the skate park. I'm for the Till Pond. I'm for the markets on Madison. But hell, they're not doing any of it. They've been talking about the Till Pond since Ridenhour's first year in office. They've been talking about the skate park since Ridenhour's since 6 months into Ridenhour's first year in office. They've been talking about the markets on Madison Street for over 3 years now. I'm for them doing any of that. The problem is, I've got to say, I want to get this. I want to say this correctly because I do not want to screw it up because it's worth saying properly. As Charlize says, a big announcement isn't economic development. A completed project is. We're going to have to make that a banner statement. A big announcement isn't economic development. A completed project is economic development. This mayor lives in the world of big announcements, but it's like never, never, never do we hear of completed projects. So yeah, hell yeah, get that skate park rolling, get that Till Pond rolling, bring it all in, but just do it.
income that we forecasted to come in, we have the sale of the 34 store lots at 1.2 million or 1,020,000. The Sportsplex property at 735,000, and the projected revenue net of the debt payments of 855,000. And then you'll see where we have some commitments on spending. We've got Kilgore Place, we have a $400,000 commitment. Store State Parks, 170, and then the Village Hilton Tapestry Hotel, 400, which is the Ball State project, and then and that is recurring for 5 years. Is that right? 5 years, yeah. And then the McKinley Ready, the remainder of the city match is almost $175,000. Total estimated consolidated TIF funds is at $2,015,000. So we have on the financials.
Jeff, I got a question.
Okay.
Here we go.
So the developer has purchased both the Store Estate property and the Sportsplex now?
Not the same developer. They haven't closed. We have purchase agreements. The store estates. I'm going to do these updates here in just a second.
Well, no, I'm just asking the question because you've been doing an update. I'm just asking the question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We have purchase agreements from them.
Yeah. I was going to say they're not sold yet, but they're to be sold because they're not sold yet.
They haven't closed yet. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any other
Okay.
questions?
See, they don't like to be hammered down on things like that. Like, most of the people watching this, you're all adults. Most of you have bought large item things that you're in your life. You've bought a home, you've bought a car. You've I mean, maybe you've not bought a car, maybe you've not bought a home, maybe you've rented, but you know the difference between the apartment that you currently live in and an apartment that you don't. You paid like first, last, and security and stuff, damage deposits down. You know a difference between the house that you live in and you have a mortgage on and the house that you don't live in and you don't have a mortgage on? The difference is the house that you live in, you paid like money down, you got a mortgage and you make payments on it and you closed on it and you sold. The car that you drive is a car that you bought versus the car that you don't drive because you haven't bought it. I could go drive through a new car lot tomorrow and be like, I want that one, I want that one, I want that one. I could even go in and waste the salesman time, sit down, have him draw up a bunch of paperwork and be like, yeah. I'm going to come back and I'm going to give you money on this and I'm going to see this. I want to see about a loan. But until I come back and do it and put my name on the line and pay the money for it and drive away, it's not mine. But this administration, and I say this administration because Jeff is part of this administration, this board is part of this administration, they don't like to get things nailed down like that. They want things to be real muddy out here. What Andrew Dale was asking there is common sense questions. Listen, you're rambling through the stuff pretty quickly. So can you just clarify, have they purchased these yet? Or is this just an option to purchase? There's a big difference. Okay. So I can appreciate Andrew's questions.
On the financial update before we move on to the store estates.
I've got a question on Till Pond. Is there any action being done there right now? Any improvements being made? The reason I ask is that the city was out clearing a lot of debris and property on the Horizon Company's property where the Michael's Place development didn't go through.
Right.
And the city was doing work there. Is that work? I'm wondering why the work was done, but you may not know.
I don't know.
Okay. But is that in anticipation of improvements at Till Pond?
All right. My mother suggested this earlier in the day when I was talking to her. Apparently, she watched this. That's the first time that Jeff said, I don't know. This is going to be a little side drinking game for those. I'm not a drinker. I'm a teetotaler. But for those of you that might drink, if you're so inclined, every time from this point forward, he said it once. So we're going to keep a tick mark there for one. Every time from this point forward that Jeff Howe says, I don't know, or some variation of I don't know, if inclined, maybe take it back. If you're a smoker, do what you think, or if you just want to count along and try to guess how many he says, we could do that too, because he says it just an absolutely massive amount of times. I mean, I'm almost scared to, no matter of fact, don't do that. Don't do this drinking game because you will die if you drink every time he said, I don't know.
Don't know. I don't know I'm not sure who's.
Do you know the status on Till Pond?
2 in a row.
My understanding that nothing's happened as of yet.
Okay. Thanks.
And I think primarily because, it was being coordinated with the other development and, I don't think it means it's not going to happen.
No. Till Pond was not being developed and coordinated with Michael's Place Apartments. Till Pond is something that Dan Ridenour has been talking about since Ray Dudley was in the District 3 council seat, and he tried holding it over Ray's head. Now he's been holding it over Brandon's head, Brandon Garrett. It is something that Dan has talked about repeatedly. It had nothing to do with Michael's Place. When Dan got blindsided and bamboozled by the Michael's Place people, he started talking about it in conjunction, but it's never had anything to do with it. And just because the Michael's Place apartments fell through, Dan went to the city council in 2022, I think, 2023. I can't remember. It's all running together. And 2022. And he asked them to vote on a vote on a bond so that they could do like $400,000 or $600,000 to Till Pond. Has that ever happened? What are we doing? Why are we not doing anything with Till Pond? What Jeff just said there was a complete fabrication. It was complete nonsense.
But it hasn't happened yet. So So on the store estates, those, let me find my sheet of updates. Okay. Couple things I wanted to share thoughts because we had some commentary last time at the meeting, and so I wanted to talk about the project updates. There were questions raised last public meeting about the timeline of progress on certain projects. I want to understand I want to help people understand. I'm actually probably going to ask Adam at some point to come as well to explain how projects take place. Concept to drawing is not 4 weeks. Concept drawings or to construction is not 4 weeks. Concept to construction could be 6 weeks or could 6 months. But there's always analysis that goes on along the way. So it's a pretty comprehensive process. You have to develop a scope of work, which defines the project's objectives, deliverables, and requirements. You have a bid process. You have to solicit the bids, wait for them to come in, and depending on the scope of the project, those bidding processes are going to be, somebody's going to have to do an extensive amount of work on some projects. Some won't be, quite as extensive, depending on, like I say, what's going to be done there. Once the bids come back, you have the budget considerations. If a bid comes back higher than anticipated, and that can happen, it certainly can happen in an environment where we have, shortages of materials, shortages of workforce, and those kind of things. And then, of course, there's always a competitive arena of projects out there that people are bidding on. But we have to evaluate the bids, align them with the available funding, and those things can change. Due diligence assess to ensure the feasibility, compliance, and alignment with the community's interests. And then we have always to take a look at the regulatory code and compliance to make sure we adhere with those. Not uncommon for a project to undergo adjustments and or complete reassessment along the path. Every proposed project is intended to be completed, but ongoing assessments and feasibility and continued alignment with the community's best interests sometimes means adapting to its delays, temporary halts, and even permanent stops may occur due to the ongoing assessment and ability to adhere to
Permanent stops. Keep that in your mind. Permanent stops.
approvals and budgets. Things change, and they always change. We're always making analysis. And as we look at these things, and there was a project not too long ago, and the bid came in high, and what can we do? Where can the funds come from? Can the funds come from someplace? Is the project scalable, or is it just not feasible to do at that level? And those things will impact what ultimately happens. Focus remains on delivering projects that will have a positive and lasting impact. And another important thing to remember is that projects in which the MRC is merely a facilitator, providing some encouragement and possibly incentive to get projects to happen. However, these projects are heavily weighted on the private sector. There are things we don't control, and there are timing things that we don't control. Somebody says they want to purchase something, and they do. We don't control when they start construction. We don't control how long it takes to do construction. We'd like to, but we can't. Now, we can and probably will exercise our right to, if projects don't move along, that they'll be surrendered. But the intent is to get these projects done, and like I say, is that some of these.
That's why that crap has to be written into the contract.
On the store estates.
Dumb
Right.
fuck.
Right. Isn't that interesting? I mean, yeah. It doesn't take like a genius. I love Shireen. Damn it, Charlize. I can't have you. I'm going to start calling her.
You do realize
Wiggly.
she's going to kill you.
I know. I'm going to start calling her Wiggly, and I'll just stick with Charlize. Wiggly and Charlize. I love Charlize's face here as she's sitting here thinking, look at this amount of bullshit that this guy's up here peddling.
The gas company's just completed its work. The utilities had to be put in. And so now all utilities are available. There may be still a small punch list of things to address, but the purchase agreement has been signed. Construction on the shelter for the park is scheduled in mid-May, I think, like very soon. And then we're hopeful that the park equipment, which has been purchased and is currently in storage, will be installed in the park, completed by the end of the month. Now,
Yes.
that soft date.
Brian, you're right. This guy, I said that in the actual comments. I said, this guy is just saying words. He literally is saying words. And you can tell because he says like analysis and punch list and items and things and gas utilities. He just is putting a bunch of words together, man. It's like, just stop what you're doing and speak English for a moment. What did you just tell us?
Okay, so people need to understand.
People need to understand that we don't want to tell anybody what's going on, and they shouldn't ask us.
The end of the month may be May 31st. It may be June 3rd. Who knows? But you know, because we don't control the weather either.
Hey, Jeff, I just want to explain. The shelter's already started.
Okay.
This is a bunch of excuses. And so what he's doing, which is hilarious, was he was giving a bunch of excuses as to why the shelter might not be started. And Andrew's like, the shelter's already started.
Well, I'd heard it was. Yeah.
I've actually driven by.
So, and being the 16th, we'll say mid-May is on schedule. So hopefully at that point, we believe that the builder will be ready to start building the homes. On the Sportsplex, we have a signed purchase agreement with closing date established for the last quarter of 2024. So it was not intended to be closed yet and will not be closed. Once closed, D.R. Horton will determine the schedule and pay.
Whoa, it was not. What did he just say there? It was not supposed to be closed yet, and it will not be closed. Did anybody catch that? Like, what? I mean, he left a really important part off. I feel like he should have said it wasn't scheduled to be closed yet, and so it won't be closed on currently or now or until then. But he was like, it wasn't scheduled to be closed, so it won't be closed. You know, I like what? That was crazy.
Case for the building of homes on the property. So a couple things just for the folks that are watching that I think are really important on these two projects, that for 65 years, the store property, no property taxes. And when it's completed, it'll probably generate somewhere in the neighborhood of $120,000 a year in property taxes, which will go to city services. The purchase price will come to the MRC for further development opportunities. The Sportsplex, about 25 years, nonprofit, no property taxes. And now if the development goes as D.R. Horton projects it will, it'll generate about $600,000 a year of property taxes. And I think as important is it may spark other development out there, such as a grocery store and things that really need to be out there, because that area is a bit of a food desert.
I'm sick of hearing that.
So those projects,
every project that this administration has done, they've said, "Well, it's going to bring a grocery store. Oh, it's going to bring a grocery store."
Should hopefully bear significant fruit for us if everything goes as planned.
Jeff, what is the maintenance cost going to be for the infrastructure, the new infrastructure at the Sportsplex?
I don't know, because I don't know what the plat's going to look like yet.
Okay.
So I don't think that's been determined yet. We're not putting the infrastructure in, but obviously there's always, and we've had this conversation before, to maintain a road cost about $14,000 per mile per year.
Yeah.
So, but again, not knowing what the plat, I don't know how many miles of road will be out there, but like I say, they're supposed to be doing the roads and sidewalks and whatever's out there.
Is it estimated that the property taxes should, new homes meet the assessed value benchmark that they're looking for? That they're all filled up, that they attract new residents instead of moving existing residents. Is it expected that increased assessed value will cover the infrastructure maintenance costs of $14,000 per mile per year, plus having a broader area for the city to service?
Well, I'm sure it would. I mean, a subdivision with that many homes, you may be looking at a couple of miles of roads, depending on how it's laid out. You're going to generate, now a number of those, the children there will go into the county school system. So some of the money will follow the kids to the schools, which is not a bad thing, by the way, but that's where it'll go. And then there was a discussion about, and then there was some past discussion about D.R. Horton. D.R. Horton is recognized as the largest home builder in the United States by volume, and it's been in business since 1978, and posted annual revenue for the fiscal year ending 2023, September of 2023, of $35 billion. A lot of this assessment about whether that's a good investment for them, the houses will be absorbed. They've made that determination. And I will tell you that there is some expectation that people will move from other places. But I think part of what we've talked about in the past with some of the new housing, we'll create spaces for people to elevate from one place to another. And our ability to deal with some of the urban blight that we worry about has got to be, people have to have a place to go. We can't do things about this while people live there, and they have to have a place to go. That's, that was one of the big things, as we looked at the Kilgore property. It's 120 families in affordable housing. Well, there'll be 120 families probably move out of places that many may be fine. Some of them may not be fine, but they have to have a place to live, and until there's a place for them to go, nothing can be done about that. And that's why we were thrilled to say, the pilot on this thing, maybe we'll go back to help work toward that blight.
Hey, Jeff, on the Sportsplex, the only comment I had a couple pretty sensitive private conversations with some people who were heavily involved in the Sportsplex when it was the Sportsplex. And they repeatedly said how grateful they were that the city was able to proactively do something with it, as in there wasn't much going on out there already, and it wasn't generating property taxes. And so I think what we would have seen was that's a large area.
Hey, Mr. Smug, come back to me when it is. All right? Take those conversations and stick them someplace and then pull them back out when it's doing that, because it's currently not, and it's not going to, at least through the end of the last quarter in 2024.
Well, and it's a silent agreement.
Yeah,
there's nothing in actual writing that commits them to doing this.
Yeah, right.
They could say at the end of the third quarter, yeah, fuck it, we don't want it.
I'm not doing it. Yeah, right.
We checked around, and it's not worth it.
It's insane. This is the stuff that people are like, come on, get to the sheriff. This is dry. But this is important shit, because I'm going to tell you, this is going on in your area. It's going on in Anderson. It's going on in Winchester. It's going on in Newcastle. It's going on in Marion. It's going on everywhere. And this shit is crazy, crazy bad stuff that is going on. And we're getting ready to see this is going to be worth the price of admission. So just hang tight. We're getting to it.
Yeah.
And they couldn't cover the burden of the property.
It was absolutely not.
It was a significant burden on them.
Yeah. And so to hear that from people who play a little inside baseball, maybe know what's going on there on the ground, was encouraging to me.
Everything that he says, this is I heard it from a friend who heard it from another. Everything he says is secret. Oh, I was having brunch with some people that you don't know. and they were telling me things are on the up and up. Oh, okay. That means exactly nothing.
At least from the standpoint of we're making progress in an area where there was not going to be progress. I mean, there just wasn't.
Yeah, and it's my understanding, and I hedge myself, but it's my understanding, and my understanding is not always accurate, but it wasn't generating revenue. It wasn't generating cash flow in which to make its bond payment.
Correct.
So the city was having to support the bond payment.
Correct.
So, we've eliminated the payment of the bond payment, and we may be producing other revenue. So those are all considerations that were made. I have a tendency with my background to put pencil to paper, but when you do that, you always make certain assumptions, and then those assumptions always are subject to debate.
Absolutely.
So that's why they don't, they mean something to me.
Because I'm a genius is what he just got done saying. And because of my background, I got a pad of paper and a pen right here. It's not a pencil, dude. But when I write stuff down on my pad of paper, I assume I'm right too. And it might not mean anything to anybody else, but I think it means something. It means something to me. Well, no one cares.
So there are a lot of benefits there. The market's on.
You mentioned the Kilgore property and, 120 families potentially moving from, existing housing in Muncie to that development. That's the pilot of 15,000. 30,000 a year.
That will years, $30,000 a year.
I mean, that say we would have 120 new houses that would be vacant. That the city or neighbors, existing nonprofits would need to deal with. 30,000 is not going to cut that. Would the MRC be interested in?
Well, we have a shortage
additional
of housing,
support.
So the houses that are left that are suitable will be occupied again. And the landlord, if they're leased houses, and I'm assuming they'd be leased houses, but they may not be, but the landlord still has responsibility to rent them and pay taxes. If they're not suitable, yeah, that could be a different problem. But if you move out of one place to another place, that that house is still taxed, and whoever owns it has to pay those taxes. And if it's leasable, which might, by the way, put pressure on folks,
Sure.
if that's leasable, then it'll generate income in which to pay those taxes. But when there's a shortage of housing, Jeff Howe's view, when there's a shortage of housing and people don't have options, landlords, some, not many, but some landlords take advantage of that.
Yeah.
And so I would tell you, out of 120, I don't know what the number will be, but the fact that people will move there might mean that we've created an opportunity for 100 plus people maybe to find a place to live that might move them from someplace else, because that's kind of what people do. But the house that they've.
I mean, listen, maybe this guy is a genius. Come up here, Kate. Real quick, if you could, please. This guy might be a genius.
That was fucking brilliant, though. When people move to a new place, they're moving from somewhere else.
Yeah, right. Is that my
mind is blown with the brilliance of this man.
Yeah.
When you move to a new place, you have to leave the other one.
Yeah, right.
I'm gonna steal.
So I just want to make sure.
Shocked.
I'm afraid. Here's what I'm afraid. I'm afraid that Jackie is out here listening to this, and she's like, "Oh, this guy is making perfect sense to me," or I don't know, Charlize, or I don't know, somebody that thinks of yourself to be a mastermind. Am I lost? Is this guy making? Is this dude making sense? Or is this babbling nonsense? Because here in a minute, if you stick with us, you are going to hear this guy read through his LinkedIn profile and tell us that he is some badass mathematician, and the city is lucky that we have him. Like he literally is going to tell us that here in a minute.
I have a question though.
Yeah.
Is this like the first meeting in like ages where he's actually gone through the accounts and said how much money is in each account?
I don't know that he's ever. I don't know that I don't
I
know.
don't know that I've ever heard that in one of these meetings before.
No. You want me to tell you why? Because what?
Go ahead.
I'm going to tell you why. Number one, because I think this is only like the second or third meeting that he's been in this position. Keep in mind that prior to him in this position, Dan Ridenauer was in this position.
Well, and Dan wouldn't want anybody to know how much money he's fucking off with.
And yeah, Dan's not going to get up and read through that stuff. So, and he just didn't.
Right.
So this guy is right. What he's doing is he's trying to appease Andrew Dale a little bit.
Alva.
Yes. Yeah, I love it. But yeah, no. What the board will decide on what? Is he asking them for something? I don't know what. We've been listening to this man talk for nearly 15 minutes now, and I can't tell you a sentence that he has said. I cannot come together. Like, I feel like I have dementia. When I was, I don't know, maybe I was in college.
I was asking about the money because as he's going through these figures, and I'm thinking in my head about all these projects that they've committed all this money to.
Yep.
That's not even close.
Yeah, right.
Not even remotely. I mean, even TIFs can only be spent in that area.
Yeah.
And even if you add the TIFs into the general stuff, it doesn't touch the amount of money that they have committed to projects. And I have a feeling that that is precisely why shit's not done. They have overcommitted themselves because they're so busy sucking someone's you-know-what.
Yeah, to everything. Yeah, absolutely. No, you're exactly.
They don't have it.
Yes. GW plays. That's the thing. That's the thing that everybody said. That's what Jackie Fisher gets on and asks the question. That's what Charlize does. Gets on and says,
Charlize is fantastic because if you follow her Facebook, she's like driving around town going, hey, look, here's the spot where they're supposed to do this.
Yeah.
Another unfinished project. I mean, she was tracking them for a while. It was great.
Shut everything down and stop everything. And like, we're like, this is like the ship is sinking. Take care, Alva. The ship is sinking. Plug the holes and finish a project, and then come back to it. But yeah, it's crazy. It's absolutely nuts. I can't imagine the. Oh yeah, yes. GM or GW. I always want to call you GM. GW. That's exactly correct. So I'm glad we're all on the same page.
Yeah, he's talking in circles to cover something.
I honestly don't even know if he knows what he's covering at this point. I think he's just talking, and I have to imagine that he's blacked out at this point, and he's just in there floating around, and he's just like, God, please let this be over soon. I think that's what he's doing.
Fair enough.
All right, here we're going to continue on here.
Left will still be a taxable unit.
Sure.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying we shouldn't have done the Cobra unit. I'm just saying, it confronts us with the issue of existing vacant housing in Muncie, which has been cited at well over a couple thousand structures.
Yeah.
And I don't know that I've seen any, effort to really address it, even though we've been in the situation for decades. So I think we should consider something more robust if the issue is.
And if you noticed, he said decades, so he's not exactly just blaming Ridenauer. He said decades, and he is right.
Substandard housing, lack of housing. We also need to find a way to deal with what we have instead of just.
This is not just Ridenauer's baby, but they're going to be offended by what was just said.
Shifting things around.
Well, yeah, but I think the issue is, this discussion, again, if you look at those houses and we've had conversations about, the quality of some of those houses, how many vacant houses out there, how many of them will or can people live in? should people live in?
Right.
Well, I mean, you can't deal with them while people live there. And some of those homes, I think we talked about this last time, if they're private property and they're private investors, a private investor will not invest $50,000 to have a house worth 30. The math doesn't work. Some of those houses will go and somebody will build on those lots. But if we, but today in some of those cases, you say, gosh, I can buy this lot and I can spend this much money and I can buy this house and I can have $15,000 in it. I'm going to cost $15,000 to bulldoze the house and I'm going to put $100,000 in it and I'll have $130,000 and a really nice $75,000 house. Well, people won't do that. Some people won't do it. Certainly investors won't do that. And the city will be in a position where we can and what we can do is support some of that. But there's always a balance between what's practical and what's impractical. I have friends who really like old houses and would love to see them all restored. They're just not all restorable. They're just not.
Sure.
And
nonetheless, I think we need a more substantive response to vacant housing and distressed areas than the economics aren't working out. Because as you've said before, everything gets subsidized. So
right. Yep.
We need a
Well,
substantive response.
Yep. As we talked last time, we're looking at what we have to figure out so we know what we have, where it's at, how it's located, and then what we think can be done with it. And like I say, some of those lots will be used to build other homes, right? As we are challenged to have some of these things.
Here.
So I'll be honest, I have little faith.
Oh,
Okay.
here we go.
I don't know what they're doing, but we're not messaged there. There's just a spectrum, but it's really going to be based on what's happening there from the private property owner.
So Jeff, is that project is up in the air then? And what you basically decide was it's neither going nor coming, right?
Funds for that parking lot.
What are you saying?
All of which I'm not privy to, be done. Those are sources of match for us. So we'll be looking at those opportunities as well. So I'm going to move on to the markets of Madison, which is a very brief. So that property, again, privately owned. And where we stand today is the owners have been making some strategic decisions about the property. And it's based on their business, their industry, all of which I'm not privy to. Well,
Dan told us it was going to bring in lots of computer high-end jobs, and they were going to put a restaurant out there, and it was going to be fantastic. So where are we with that? I don't care what this guy, this jackass is privy to. I want to know about what Ridenauer told us. When Ridenauer said it was going to bring in a lot of high-end jobs, and they were going to put a restaurant out there. That's out there on the south end of town. My grandparents live out there. I'm out there all the time. This is my area. I want to know what is going on. I want to know what the mayor promised us. So what's going on with that?
They're making some decisions, and while we've set aside funds for that parking lot, we are pacing our investment to theirs. I had a conversation this morning with someone about money that we pledged. We're not putting our money in first. Things have to happen, and then we'll put our money in. At least that's my philosophy. Some of these things, were decided obviously pre-me, but when that starts to settle, we'll start to figure out again how much we're putting in, what we're putting in, if we're putting in.
I can tell you how much we put in already.
Whatever those things are, there's no message there. There's just a spectrum, but it's really going to be based on what's happening there from the private property owner.
So Jeff, is that project is up in the air then? And what you basically decide was it's neither going nor coming, right?
I would tell you that our involvement is paced with theirs. So I don't know what they're doing, but we're not doing it till they do.
Where is Brick Red Systems in their planning?
Don't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I looked up the property. It's owned by Top Star Realty Group. They're based out of Lakewood, New Jersey. They have some tax liability going back a couple of years now. it's nice to hear that they're trying to get some plans in order, but it'd be nice if they paid their taxes as well.
Mhm.
I mean, it's hard to have a lot of faith in anything going forward when we've got a property owner who's not paying their taxes.
Yeah.
I mean, they're in the rears to the tune of $59,000. So I'll be honest, I have little faith that this project's going to go anywhere.
Okay.
We've been talking about it for 4 years. It came out with a big bang. You know, the mayor stuck the flag in the ground and said, we got to win.
Mhm.
And we don't have a win at all. I mean, people ask me literally every week who live on the South Side, what's going on?
Mhm.
And that's why I asked for all of these updates, was because people have been asking me about where are things at. They seem like they're stuck. And so this particular project, I'm just curious, you use the word, we might surrender at some point.
people have to
Are you looking to
understand.
surrender this project? Because at some point, this thing, it's just not going anywhere.
Well, and it may not go anywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, it just may not go anywhere. And I think that's what people have to understand. We come in here with a plan that we want to do these things and we think they make sense. And we deal with those things based on the facts that they are at the time.
Right.
Things change that aren't within our control.
Yeah.
But you know, if I walked out,
Now listen, Andrew's just talking. Listen whose voice is raised and who seems to be excited. Okay.
there and said, hey, we put all our money in this thing and they haven't done anything yet, we'd be having a conversation about that too.
Yeah. So what we're both saying is that, you know, like I said, there was a flag in the ground.
Always.
There was all sorts of, well, yeah. And then
Every
nothing
economic
until now.
development project that's been
and
happened in this community or any community. in the
No,
country.
I'm going to say this. I'm going to state
I'm
this.
gonna let you-
Nothing until now.
I am
So
the president of
finally-
this commission. I'm calling point of order.
I am
Thank
the
you.
chair of this commission.
Good discussion.
I agree, and I will let you have it.
Yeah.
I'm trying to give you the floor first, and then I will let Mr. Howe continue. Is that okay?
Yeah, I'll take it.
Thank you. You may have the floor now.
Again, what I'm saying is I don't have any faith in the project. And I think it should be surrendered at some point so that other monies can be moved, other energy can be placed in places where more value can be created.
Mr. Howe.
We'll have to, I can't answer that question because I don't know what the contracts say. But the fact that there's a flag in the ground, there's been a flag in the ground of every economic development project that's ever been done anywhere in the United States since there's been economic development. Everybody leans forward optimistically to win. They don't always work. And it happens. And
Right. But why is it that Ridenour has very few wins and so many losses?
Well, if they spent more than one meeting talking about any of the stuff before they just rubber stamp it for the
Ding, ding,
bastard,
ding,
that
ding,
might
ding.
help.
Yes.
And if they actually had someone who knew how to write contracts doing this so that they could say, if you haven't done anything on that property in a year, you're done. It reverts back to us.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And if they did anything that, like, if they did any kind of research on these people, I mean, they literally sold this to a guy that is living in a shoebox in like Seattle or something. We've ran all of these people down and found out where these people are from. It's a joke right now. I mean, right now it comes back to us and says, "Oh, Brick Red Resources, Brick Red Systems. There's going to bring thousands of jobs and hundreds of good jobs." I mean, thousands of jobs are I'm being facetious, but
Yeah,
lots
we
of good
thought it was
jobs.
50 and we just spent 10 minutes on the gist.
Right. That's
And
right.
it looked wonky.
Yeah.
10
Absolutely.
minutes. It's not rocket science.
And for the record, she's saying GIS. So, all right.
Whatever.
Forward,
Not JIZZ. Thank you very much.
forward, ho.
and people need to understand that. And it happens everywhere and it happens all the time. And I think that's what we need to do here is help people understand. The intentions are to get these things done. The intentions are for these things to be successful. We don't control everything. And if something doesn't happen, it doesn't mean that the intentions weren't good, and it doesn't mean that the groundwork wasn't laid.
But it does maybe start to call into question the person and the mind of the person who is putting this project forward when every deal winds up like this. Every deal winds up like this. I don't know that Ridenauer has had a win, meaning he's even accomplished some things, but even those things that he's accomplished, like this crisis center that we're gonna eventually have this crisis center. But what we have ended up having to pay for it and do, and what it's going to do versus what it's not going to do, the cons in my opinion, outweigh the pros.
Well, and don't forget those beautiful bungalows.
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
that's a completed project that looks nothing like what was promised.
Yes,
and
right.
is not going to be, obviously, because I think most of those still are vacant, aren't they?
Yeah,
because they look like shit.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Just because you finished it doesn't mean that you accomplished your goal either.
Right. That's exactly right. Right. All right. We're going to try to hurry this along.
There are things we don't control, and we don't control everything.
But I think we do control communication. And that's what I'm saying is I think it's good to have an update so the community understands exactly where this particular project and other projects are at. And again, that's why I asked for the host of things that are being discussed today to be reported on today.
Okay. Are there any other items to be discussed on Markets of Madison? Any other points of discussion today?
Has the MRC invested money into this property already?
Well, I don't know if I know the answer to that.
He doesn't know the answer. When are you going to come back with these
If so, it predates me. I don't know. I don't know what was, I know what is focused funds is 322,000, but I don't know what the original number was. If that's the original number or not. So
it has been reported, at least last fall and some other times, there was earth moving happening in the lot where Brick Red Systems would go.
But has the MRC funded that?
Good question.
Okay.
Good question.
Columbus Avenue, one more piece of right-of-way that needs to be secured, and the project will soon go out for bid, and optimistic that the construction will commence at the end of the third quarter.
Can you talk more about the project, what the purpose of it is, what's it going to cost, how it links to other infrastructure improvements in the neighborhood?
What it is?
I don't know. I don't know what the original costs were.
Oh, look, I don't know.
And it came through here when I was on the commission.
But you don't know?
But I don't remember what the numbers were to you, Isaac.
Not off the top of my head, but we could find them.
Right.
Yeah, I think if I'm recalling, the initial purposes of the project was to continue to spur development up North Walnut, across from, in cohesion with the school, the YMCA is going in. There's that crosswalk that's going to become very busy, I think heavy with traffic. And then there are also the new
it's just going to become
townhomes
so
as well
heavy
that
with
are-
traffic.
Yeah, 1.5.
We're going to have thousands of people coming to this, just this roundabout.
End of the third quarter, yeah.
I was
So
saying,
1.5 million
that's fine.
on the financial.
Then there's also the planned townhomes that are going in
Mhm.
north of there as well.
Yeah.
But I think that if I'm recalling right, and this is me paraphrasing, the initial goal of the project as a whole was to continue to spur development between downtown and up North Walnut Street.
Right. Some rezoning in McKinley for some commercial.
Yeah, I think that was a strong target area for us. And
Jeff, is that part of the USI plans that I'd asked about in the claims where we've got a bill for 49,000 and
I think
design?
so. I think
Yes.
so. Yes.
So when are we going to see those? Is that a schematic design plan?
Mhm.
Maybe we've seen it before. Maybe this before I came back on the board. But if so, could we see that again, or could it be sent to me? I'd love to see what that plan is.
I was going to say, go ahead. I'm sorry.
If I have it available, I've seen it, but not
It's been a
detailed
minute.
drawing.
It was
It's
sometime
more
last year.
rendering kind of stuff.
Do you think it's changed since then, given the building that we've received recently? The nature of that schematic?
I wouldn't think so, but we could look at it.
I'd just love to see it.
Yeah.
I guess my question with Columbus is, my understanding of
I like how they're tag teaming him. You like that?
the plan is that, I think you said right away is being purchased. I think that's to widen, the road and I think completely rebuild the street. from Walnut to Madison.
Mhm.
I'm wondering how that fits in with the infrastructure and the rest of the neighborhood. Like, is this just going to be one completely rebuilt street while everything else is deteriorating still? And particularly with Walnut Street, there are, we have students and other people traveling along Walnut Street to get to, downtown, the bus terminal.
Well,
And there's not an accessible route currently from the high school to downtown. I'm wondering why there's, if we're focusing on Columbus Street, which is very speculative, what's occurring right now for people that are currently using the main street, Walnut Street, where it's less safe?
I might be wrong, but maybe saying it as Columbus Street is not an accurate description. It's more like that intersection
Along the,
at
by the
Columbus
Y and,
Walnut and
Right.
calling it Columbus Street is probably not the most accurate description, but that's
Right. And there's the
that's semantics.
standards. I mean, I have been sitting on that committee, the McKinley Live Learn committee, and there are design standards for the whole neighborhood. There's projects happening
a
throughout.
lot of private investors are investing in
Right.
there and
Yeah,
then.
I mean, there's
and
a
then,
ton of stuff happening
you know,
throughout.
new
that entire
townhomes. So, I
area.
mean, some of this investment's going to be done, but it's not going to be done by us.
Right.
So are the private investors making, fixing up the other streets in the neighborhood?
They're fixing
I
up
don't-
the properties
I'm
in the
fixing up the
neighborhood.
properties. Yeah.
And is that plan incumbent on the acquisition of 620 and 640 North Walnut?
Is it what?
Is that plan in its,
They're not connected.
they're not connected at all?
Not
Okay,
connected.
all right,
No, they're not connected.
thank you.
So the downtown gateway, the construction bid will be released soon. Again, we look at these things about having, try to not use the word option again, but how to have a couple of different paths we can go down rather than.
Talked about some of the discussions we've had, and
Final, and the developer will take possession of the property soon, or is it going to be over time? Because
They'll take possession of the property
okay,
and start development as soon as.
okay, so they will outright purchase the property from the city. It won't be over a 10-year period.
They will purchase from over a 10-year period, be like,
That's right. They're not, right, but they're going to purchase over a 10-year period from the city.
correct.
Okay. And then we talked about a property tax rebate for them, not an abatement, but a rebate.
Now listen to this. This is big.
If we need to, can we? We can't if we don't have permission to. If we don't need to, or we can't get the right terms, we won't do it. I mean, there's, my banking career, find a deal. If it's not the right deal, go find a different deal.
and it's nice to see too, like that when we pulled back from going forward with what we thought was the right path, to see the private sector go to work and actually probably work out a better.
I would assume the private sector was already going to be in that space.
I think so. Yeah.
That's why I didn't vote for it.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. They called us because they wanted our thoughts on it. So I don't know. We'll see. It's not in the market yet. So, so nothing would have happened yet. I'm pretty sure about that. And then the last update, kind of both updates together, is the Gilbert Franklin Street and the Y project. We're wrapping up the due diligence and the legal counsel is working on the final documentation. And we hope to have that closed soon. So
I have a question on that.
Yeah.
I just want to understand. We're still looking at a seller financed sale where the city will sell directly. Okay. Is that over a 10-year period, or will that sale be made final and the developer will take possession of the property soon? Or is it going to be over time? Because
they'll take possession of the property.
Okay.
And start development as soon as.
Okay. So they will outright purchase the property from the city. It won't be over a 10-year period.
They will purchase from over a 10-year period, be like.
That's right. They're not, right. But they're going to purchase over a 10-year period from the city.
Correct.
Okay. And then we talked about a property tax rebate for them, not an abatement, but a rebatement. Is that still in play?
Not a rebate. It's not a rebate. We don't rebate. We don't collect
Not a rebate. Not a rebate. Now listen to what Jeff says here.
taxes. We can't rebate taxes.
Agreed. Is it an abatement?
Right.
No.
Okay. Are we going to, are the property taxes going to be anticipated or actual property taxes, are they going to be prorated from the sale of the purchase? Because there's, in that agreement.
So what do you mean by that?
In that agreement, and I can look it up right here, it states that the developer, for a 4 to 7 year period of time or 3 to 7 year period of time, that the property taxes paid will be recognized in the term rebate is in there.
Right.
How is that? Can you explain what that?
We can't rebate the taxes.
We can't rebate the taxes. Jeff Howell just said, which is true. That's not what the MRC city doesn't do that. All right. But listen to what he's saying. We cannot do that.
Damn.
Okay, I'm going to look this up.
No, I know what the offer says.
I know what
Okay.
the
But the offer's not the contract.
The offer's not the contract. The offer's not the contract. So we have an offer that out here that we're giving to someone that they're going to decide if they want it based on, and we've got words in there that's not going to be in the What's the point of those words not being in I mean, that don't make any sense.
We've been working on negotiating this deal for a few months.
So there's no recognition of discounting.
What we have is we will have documentation documenting this deal and closing this deal that are compliant with the approval. And in some cases, better for us because
we as a commission authorized you, like we have an agreement with this person for this project, but then we authorized someone being Jeff Howe, to then negotiate the terms at a more finite level with legals.
And I'm just asking that number 9 on their term, the seller shall rebate an amount equal to all property taxes assessed and paid by
the seller shall rebate. We're the seller. So what does that term rebate say? Like, why is that in there if that's not something that we can do?
Purchaser on the subject property for 4 to 7 years of the 10-year agreement. That is no longer going to be made a part of the agreement?
not in that form. There, we are going to give them a financial incentive for some period of time so they can get the project off the ground. So we are relieving them. Again, not a very good word because we don't tax anybody, but we are giving them some relief of that for some period of time. But
Okay.
yeah.
So the value of the property tax is going to be relieved. It's going to be recognized.
This is probably a better term. Yeah, I think that's
Okay. I was wanting to get that. I wanted to understand fully what that was.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So we hopefully will have that closed soon. So.
Just want to make sure, is there any other points of discussion on the why? No? Okay. Go ahead, Mr. Howe, continue, please.
Okay. Well, I think that may be my.
The house was torn down. My grandmother lives right down the alley from me.
Go through some,
she's got up
through some
actually have something that I want to.
citizen situations, and then we have some people coming up and talking about various
This
other
igniter is
points of issues. They're very interesting. You guys should watch these. I want to specifically let you hear where the issues are in this meeting. Okay, so the land bank and all these things that go up here, the people that are going up there, they all handle that pretty smoothly. Everything was good.
Put up.
Now they're into public comment, and Sue Arrington gets up.
But they're really looking at the houses.
And she's asking a question about the store property.
Well, this is my first MRC meeting. It's very interesting. I came specifically about store estates because I live across Hyatt Ditch from the property. And so I see it every day. And I live right next to that path, the footpath that goes across the little bridge over to Store Estate. So a lot of people ask me when I'm out in my yard, what do you know about progress for Store Estates? When are we going to have some houses, construction there? And you said it would be, I think, fairly soon, but is there something more concrete you could?
The park will be done. The developer will start building when the developer starts building. We won't be able to control that, but the utilities have to be put in.
Yes, and I can tell people that utilities are now in. I saw yesterday the construction of the shelter. So the wood is getting put up, but they're really looking at the houses. Does the developer give you any idea of when that might start?
Well, I think the developer's been waiting for, and I don't know necessarily.
I don't like that he needs to come up to the podium.
The park equipment.
So she's concerned like everybody out there.
It's like right there as you come into the neighborhood.
Also,
Swale.
I will have them note that, okay, look, she's an elected member. She's not here as an elected member. She's there in the public concerns. So they do have a 2-minute warning only. They let her go way over 2 minutes. Then they actually call her on it here in a minute.
And the ditch. There's, I don't know how many feet.
Because there's
yards.
a large area there that is not mowed.
Yes.
As it is, for stormwater treatment. I don't know, just sitting here without the drawings and stuff to know where that is. But so there is an area that won't be mowed. It's part of the.
My suggestion, Miss Arrington, would be to reach out to the city with the exact location, and then they can investigate if it's ours. Then
I have something to say that we're right here, right now. We're the MRC, we're the property owner. Can't she relay that information to our director so that he can get the answer to, instead of her having to go through the apparatus of the city operations?
Well, if we know exactly where she's talking
Well,
about,
I understand
then
that
we
she
can
can,
look.
I think she's articulated well, but I'm just saying, we're here now conducting the people's business. Can we not give the best service we can give?
That's more than fine, Miss Arrington. If you'd like to, you can discuss with Mr.
Okay,
Howe.
well, my neighbor did ask, she called the city and they said it's not ours anymore.
Okay, well then I would.
But they didn't tell her who to contact.
Yeah, I don't know who she
Then
called.
I would continue the discussion with Director Howe. If it's
I
our
don't know who she contacted.
property, then we'll have to handle it. That's correct.
All right. Now, the last question I get,
Miss Arrington, we do have a 2-minute limit on public
Oh.
comment. I've let you go rather over today. So if you wouldn't mind, just make your last question really brief and we'll move forward.
well, this is on the path. It's become pretty overgrown and people use it a lot to get back to walk their dogs and whatever. So they're asking me, what are the plans for that path? Who's responsible for that? Will it be improved?
What path are you talking about?
It goes from Brook Drive across the footbridge over to Store Estates.
I don't know. I mean, if you go back to decades ago when that was put in, that was just like some neighbor went out there and made this path. I don't believe that it was ever.
It's an easement.
It's
I don't
public
think-
right away.
Right now, when Store was a school, there was the bridge needed to be replaced.
Correct.
And there was a debate between the school corporation and the city as to who was responsible. And at that time, this was Mayor Tyler, he said, well, it's the school, and if you don't do it, we're closing that path. So the school did it.
Wow.
So it made me think that the city owns the path.
I think since the MRC owns that now, I would assume that debate is over because the school corporation
Right.
is no longer a property. So it's a good question. I think that's another good follow-up that we can provide,
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Interesting.
Are there any other people sign up for a comment?
All right. Here, Charlize gets up and talks.
Sorry, I didn't realize we had someone else. Sorry, what a.
That's all right. I need to sign.
apologize. You're fine. Go ahead.
I would like to thank, I'm Charlize Jameson. I would like to thank Angie for pointing out that I'm downtown all the time, and thank you for pointing out that I'm more than double the age of the target age group that you're looking for. My comment is probably going to not sit well with a few. But, we talked an awful lot today, and there's more on the list if we wanted to add to it, of projects that get a big announcement. I'm kind of piggybacking a little bit off of what Mr. Dale said. They get a big announcement, maybe a splash in the Star Press, and then we have crickets. And I understand that things take time to get through the process. But we're finding things that when nothing's happening, and we're not talking about weeks or months, we're talking years that go by. And the response that I've gotten from this board at times has more or less been, if we sign an agreement with somebody, we're done. And I don't agree with that. Not that my opinion matters. Markets on Madison, you could argue, is in a blight condition right now. And it has been. And we don't know if anything's going to happen. Certainly not anytime soon, but maybe not at all. And I'm sorry, but if you sell a property to somebody and they don't do what they're supposed to do, or even worse, are behind on their taxes, you do have a role. And you just don't let things deteriorate because you made a big announcement and there's been virtually no follow-up. Now, this may not be on Muncie's Redevelopment Commission, but it is maybe on Delaware County's. But I can cite you another example, and that's the Hilton, Home 2 Suites Hilton, that in 2018 was announced that they were going to build out there on Bethel, adjacent to the Hampton Inn. And unless something's happened this week, nothing has been happening out there. It's just another example of a big splash announcement and then nothing followed up. We need follow-up.
Thank you. Any other?
Absolutely, follow-up is needed.
No?
No, I mean, no question.
Move into commissioner comments. Only comment I have is just a thank you to Mr. Bishop for running the meeting last month for me. I had to be out of town on business. So thank you for doing that last minute. I appreciate it. Any other commissioner comments today?
Yeah, just one other. Jeff, I had shared when I sent my letter about updates.
All right, here we go. Now this is going to be the fireworks here, folks. We're getting ready to get into the Henry County deal, but this is the fireworks. You're getting ready to hear Andrew Dale ask a publicly okay question to ask, a question that is public record, of public knowledge, something that should not be an issue. And I want you to listen to the way that Jeff Howe blows his top on this. This is insane.
I was just curious, are you full-time or part-time? And how are you compensated?
That is a good question. I have wondered that myself, and I have myself asked the mayor's office since they contracted with Jeff how this works, because I know that their last economic development director, which was Dan Ridenauer, was not full-time because he was obviously the mayor, and so that couldn't be. But I know that the economic development director before Dan, when it was Donati, I know that he worked in a basically full-time position. So I wanted to know, and it is a perfectly legitimate question, and I have heard crickets on getting this response. I've heard nothing on getting any kind of response from them. And so I'm glad that Andrew asked on the record, are you full-time, part-time? What are you getting paid? What's the deal? Listen to how he's responded to.
Is it edit funds, or is it MRC funds, or how does that go?
I think it's all a matter of public record. I'm not really, I didn't come prepared to talk about my personal income in a public meeting.
I didn't ask your personal income.
It's all public record. Yes, it is. You're right. That's why I'm asking you here in this public meeting. But then he goes on and he says, I didn't come here today to talk about my, what do you say, is public income?
And what I asked you was, are you part-time or full-time?
I'm on a contract.
Okay.
I'm on a contract is what Jeff says. And listen to what he says here.
My contract is to get work done.
Okay.
My contract is to get work done. You know, Jeff, let me tell you, you would think with the fact that we have a contract employee under the city that is, bestie with the mayor like you are, with him being under investigation, you figure that you might not be such a large asshole about this and that you would come clean and tell folks what the deal is here. You know, it's quite ridiculous that you feel so just taken aback by this and that you don't think that this is something that you should be able to answer. You're a public servant. You are nobody, dude. Get over yourself.
Okay, and I was just asking if from the cities, from the public's treasury, how are you compensated? Added funds? It's just a question, and it's a question I posed to you in a letter.
That's probably a question for the mayor.
And if we're hearing him correctly, he asked this in a letter. So he asked this of Jeff privately, and Jeff apparently refused to answer. So Andrew, I've not talked to Andrew about this, but apparently Andrew said, all right, I've asked you in the letter, so I didn't get there. If you don't want to do it in private, I'll do it in public. And now Jeff has an issue with that.
Mayor pays me. The MRC does not pay me.
So now he says that would be a question for the mayor. Okay.
The mayor pays me.
Well, I'll send once again what I sent both you and the mayor and Isaac.
And then so Andrew says, I'll send him again what I sent both you, Mayor, and Isaac. So Andrew's trying to get answers, and nobody's giving him this answer. And I don't understand. It's not a secret. So what I did today was, while I was listening to this, I just typed off a record request and shot it off to Dan. And I said, I am absolutely appalled by Jeff's behavior. And so because of this, I want all of this information. I want his contract. I want to know how much he's getting paid. I want all that information. So I fired that off, and we're not even to the craziness yet
on this. So we'll do it the hard way.
We'll do it the hard way.
Simple question. So.
Any other commissioner comments?
And are you part-time or full-time? I apologize. I missed that.
You said he's on contract.
What does that mean? Are you working fully?
I get paid to do the job.
So
I get paid to do the job. Like, it almost seems like he's now being, why are you being so sus? Now it seems like maybe the state police should be investigating you too.
So you bill for an hourly rate?
We have a agreed upon amount.
Okay.
And I do the job.
Are there a number of hours that you're supposed to work a week? I'm just curious.
Not designated.
Okay. I'll ask to see the contract. Just curious. Yeah.
Well, if you're going to do that, a couple of things I might.
And if you're now listen to this. Now here we go. This is interesting. So Jeff then must have got pissed off and is telling him, well, if you're going to do that, a couple things.
Jeff, can you step to the mic?
Sure.
Thank you.
Sure. Yeah, a couple things. I think I'd like you to, as you look at that, if you look that up, and I would probably ask you to look that up. So you want to understand how much I get paid. I assume for a reason. So let me tell you what my qualifications.
I did not ask you how much you're paid.
Let me tell you what my qualifications are.
Part-time or how you get paid.
For 4 decades, my career is in the world of commercial banking and large corporate finance. I worked for the largest bank in the United States, the largest bank in the world for many of those years.
Another
Beyond my banking career, I was deeply involved in economic development and graduated from the Indiana Economic Development Academy. I was also involved in workforce development for about 15.
And so did he have this written down and prepared? Like, this is gross. So after I sent the email too quickly, so after I witnessed this, I then sent a follow-up email to like everybody saying, I don't know what's going on in the city of Muncie, but the people that are running their meetings, the Board of Works, the Redevelopment Commission, they are melting down. Linda wants to know why she should be expected to do her job. This guy's doing whatever nonsense he's doing here. I don't know who the hell he thinks he is, but none of this shit that he's reading means a damn thing to me. All it means is he thinks so highly of himself. And we've literally sat here and listened to him speak for like an hour. And he said exactly dick. He said nothing the entire time he talked. He talked around in circles and he seemed like an asshole. And
I was actually fine with Dale's question. Part-time, full-time, what fund are you being paid out of?
Sure.
Never asked for the salary.
Yeah.
This guy's making a big deal about the salary.
Yeah.
I want to know what he's getting paid.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. You better believe it. We've got the request in today. I will have that FYI for your information. I will have it for your information. I will have it ASAP is what I meant to say. I think I'm having a stroke. But for your information, I will have it ASAP. And when we have it, we will put it out here. This is absolutely, yeah. In case of emergency or distress, read this. Yes, right. Absolutely. 100%. Yeah, this is gross.
2 years. I led a workforce organization regionally, the state, and the national organization. Testified to Congress on behalf of workforce legislation that passed, and was involved in many aspects of workforce as it related to bank realignment and closure, Katrina recovery and relief. And I was also a member of the Governor's Human Resource Council. So, so I just think, if you want to do that assessment, I think that I want you to know, and I personally think the mayor got a pretty good deal, but I'll let you talk to the mayor about
Just
that.
ask some basic questions that the public deserves to know. That's it.
Okay.
Not an inquisition.
Okay, the point's been made. Are there,
Oh, I think you're making it feel.
gentlemen,
I have some basic questions.
the point has been made. Thank you. We're going to move on to other commissioner comments. Are there any other commissioner comments today? Ms. Wagley or Mr. Bishop?
I've made comments about, requesting these documents that we received be provided not only to us before the meeting, so we have a chance to review what's being considered by the Redevelopment Commission, but also provided to the public online before the meetings. And I do see that I mentioned that this agenda was posted online, which I appreciate. That had not been done in a while. And I don't think I think you had indicated that nothing else would be posted online before or after the meetings. And
So he asked Jeff if information could be posted either before or after before the meeting, and Jeff indicated nothing else will be posted before or after the meeting.
Okay, I apologize, but I guess I would say, these are public documents that we receive. If they're produced by a public entity, they're public documents. So in regards to this or contracts or whatever else, I think it would be easier all around for us just to be forthright with providing the information instead of people needing to go through information requests, which is going to put stress on the HR department. We could just publish stuff instead of going around and around on stuff. That's my comments on
I
that.
think we're in compliance, and I think, we get the information out based on what the calendar tells us we need to get information out. And I think, as I sat on the commission for 3 years, maybe 3 years plus, I got the information the night before the meeting. So, I think that the delivery of the information is much better than it has been. And this agenda is formulating over the course of time. And we could send out an agenda earlier and there might be nothing on it. So, we try to make sure that we have what we need. I review it with the chairman or the president of the commission the week before the meeting. And once we have talked about it and we think that's the agenda, then it gets published. And after I make the edits that need to be made, it got sent Monday morning the next week. But I never got anything until the night before. And
so because, does he not, I'm not even, because things ran shitty when he was on the board, does he not think things should get better or should improve? Obviously we are being told communication, transparency, and accountability is not this administration's forte. They don't care about that.
Read it and was prepared for the meeting. And I think at that time, I think the staff supporting the commission was the community development department. And that was so I assumed they were adhering to the requirements.
Yep.
So I think we beat that.
My main point was not what's legally required. My main point was making information public information easily publicly accessible. And just my last thing, I was the staff that was doing that. I wasn't, responsible for, providing or making the documents. I just took what I received, compiled them, posted online, and then updated after the meeting with any additional information that was received.
Ms. Wagner, did you have a comment or no?
No.
Okay. Seeing no other business before us today, we will be adjourned until our next meeting on June 20th, 2024. Thank you so much.
Angie, don't forget your copy.
That was absolutely disgusting. Tweety Bird, because this is a meeting this is not the council, it's the Muncie Redevelopment Commission. A lot of the other sideboards don't. Just FYI, in case you don't know, this is Andrew Dale. The person missing here in the middle is Andrew Pribella, I think. Isaac Miller, Zane Bishop, and Shireen Wegley. So this is gross. What they did here was absolutely gross. I cannot believe they did this, and it's just nuts. So one more meeting, one more day, the city of Muncie does not have a problem telling us, the citizens, the public, that they do not give a shit about transparency, communication, accountability, and doing what's right. It's so gross, and we should be up their ass about this. I've issued record requests, and I will keep you posted with what we get. All right, before we roll out of here, I want to now pull up and move on to the Henry County situation. We will now kick into the city of, not city of Newcastle, but Henry County story. Fox 59 news coverage, Henry County round 2. They have made the news yet again, and it's for something different. So we're going to pull this up here. I'm going to let you guys hear this, and then we'll talk about it. It's only about 3 minutes.
Explain the crux of the
Let me refresh here. Give me a second. It's refreshing. Oh, come on. All right. While it's doing this, I will read it to you. We'll go from there while it's doing this. So this is... damn it.
Fox 59 has been investigating the Henry County Sheriff's Office for a while now, and now the Sheriff's Office for a while now, and now the Sheriff tells us he's not afraid of being sued.
But as Fox 59 Chief Investigator Steve Brown reports, claims against the sheriff are piling up at an alarming rate.
John Sproles, Henry County Sheriff.
In an hour-long interview in March, Henry County Sheriff John Sproles dismissed the barrage of potential lawsuits stacking up against him
and his department.
You know, I'm not concerned about
Damn it. Come on.
bogus tort claims.
But these two Henry County commissioners, Bobby Plummer and Steve Dellinger,
Steve Brown reports claims against the sheriff are piling up at an alarming rate.
John Sproles, Henry County Sheriff.
in an hour-long interview in March, Henry County Sheriff John Sproles dismissed the barrage of potential lawsuits stacking up against him and his department.
You know, I'm not concerned about bogus tort claims.
But these two Henry County commissioners, Bobby Plummer and Steve Dellinger, are worried.
It's nerve-wracking. I'd lie if I said I wasn't concerned.
Here's why. In the 16 months Sproles has been sheriff, he and his department have been named in a dozen tort claims. The latest one, delivered just last week, is a wrongful death claim involving a police chase that ended in a high-speed crash.
Dispatch 1050 Tillotson.
A passenger in the suspect vehicle, 25-year-old Nicholas Woolhams, was killed. Leading the chase, an unsupervised first-year Henry County deputy. Months before the crash, Travelers Insurance had already had enough, canceling Henry County's liability policy.
John,
in a January meeting, the county's insurance agent explained
the crux of the cancellation surrounded a couple claims involving the sheriff.
You see, the sheriff has repeatedly inserted himself in situations that have not ended well, like this incident inside the Henry County Jail. Sproles fired 4 beanbag rounds into the legs of an inmate who was kicking a steel cell door. The sheriff has defended the shooting.
I can't let him shatter his ankle or splinter his shin bone on that door, or we most certainly are going to get sued.
Marquette Neal, who needed more than 90 stitches to close the wounds to the back of his knees, filed a claim against the sheriff in October. Now, Henry County did find replacement insurance, but it cost an additional $230,000. The deductible zooming from $25,000 per incident to $150,000.
Is it oversimplified by saying this headache was brought to you by your sheriff?
I would say you're correct at this point.
Some of the things were not his doing, but he is the leader of that department.
This could be a blessing in disguise.
But Sproles charges the commissioners are trying to use the tort claims to damage his credibility.
Commissioner Dellinger, I feel he's had it in for me from day one.
He's taking that as a political opportunity to knock you down.
Oh, it's crystal clear.
Oh,
Him and Commissioner Plummer, crystal clear.
Both Dellinger and Plummer say for them, the friction between them and the sheriff, Sheriff Sproles, is not about politics or personalities. They insist at issue is the large collection of tort claim notices filed against the sheriff and his department, and the potential financial consequences to county taxpayers if the claims continue to pile up. Steve Brown, Fox 59 investigates.
All right, Steve, thank you.
All right. And so, just FYI, ladies and gentlemen, that's just one more story, one more day. All right. And it's very, very interesting that this is happening and that folks are starting to see Sproles for who he is. Now, I can guarantee you that Sproles and his team of family members and friends and Kool-Aid drinkers are probably on there bashing and belittling, knocking, and kicking that reporter along with his news organization for doing the work that they were doing. It's very interesting when you look on Twitter and you see that Sheriff Sproles. Let's look here and see what Steve has here on his wall. So last night he posted that. Let's see here. Update. Henry County Sheriff John Sproles doesn't like this story. Tonight, he emailed me to say I blatantly lied. All right. I didn't watch, but watch and decide for yourself. Now, I will tell you that I've heard that he's been sending out other emails, and he's done very crazy things in the last couple days as he's starting to take heat, and he's having his swarm of Kool-Aid drinkers go out and attack anybody that dares speak out against him. So I think it's funny because
Christopher, he's arrogant enough that those emails were sent from his official email.
Oh, I guarantee you. No question. Absolutely.
So that would be requestable if I'm not mistaken.
Absolutely. They sure would. They sure would. I'll even take a step further and say that if he has a private email account and he is emailing about official work or official duties, doesn't matter if it's an official email account or not. The email that he sent to Reporter Brown would definitely be requestable. And the emails that he's sending out about this would definitely be requestable. So that is something that I need to get on doing. That's a pretty good idea. Request email Sproles. That's a good idea, because what the sheriff is doing here is gaslighting. And I want to point out one specific instance in I can't tell you what or where this is from, but there's been an instance here recently where the sheriff has been referring to a person, and he was talking about like in the comment that he made about the driver in the car last night. He said that looking through his past, he is a troubled individual. And the sheriff, oftentimes, being the kind and loving Christian man that he is, he makes those statements about people that he does not know, people that he doesn't have a clue about the circumstances and the scenarios, but he makes statements, and he bases those off of no evidence, of no factual information, but he makes statements. And I want to call everybody's mind in Henry County back to the Boss Hog of Liberty night back in October of 2022, when he was on the Boss Hogs of Liberty with Landon Dean, and he was making those accusations against Landon. And I said, folks, you need to be very worried about this, because this man is wanting to be the sheriff of the county, and he is willing to make statements like this about people's guilt, about innocence. And that is something that you guys, as citizens of Henry County, need to be scared about, because as the sheriff, he will be leading deputies, he will be teaching deputies, he will be training deputies. And if he has no problem not using factual information and going off of his gut and his opinion and calling someone out and assuming someone is guilty, or assigning guilt and innocence to people based on his warped value system, then you people in Henry County are in a shit ton of danger. It's very, very, very scary. Gayla says, I probably wouldn't be concerned about bogus tort claims either if I had several thousands of people to pay my penalties for me. As Henry County taxpayers, I felt that slap in the face. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And the fact that he can literally give a thumbs up emoji to a woman who his COs torture in his custody, in his jail, and he's willing and able and openly calls her lawsuit bogus, shows you how depraved this man is. Very scary. It is insane. And I'm telling you, I can see it on the faces of Dellinger and Plummer. Like, they know that they're up against it. And I only hope they do continue doing their thing. I know they will. I know that Bobby will hold her ground for the next 8 months. I know Dellinger will. And Dellinger is going to be a freak starting next year. But we as the public are going to have to support her.
Kristopher,
Mm-hmm.
do we know how many? There's a difference between a tort and a suit.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So this article is talking about torts.
Mm-hmm.
Notice that I might sue you, right?
Yeah.
Basically.
Mm-hmm.
Do we know how many actual suits are filed?
Give me a second. I think I have that number.
Okay. I'm sorry for interrupting you, but
No. You're fine. You're fine.
that's interesting
I think
information to have, because these are just torts that they're talking about. And there are 5 of those that name him specifically. And then there are suits that have been filed.
Oh, it's more. It's far more than that. There are. I want to say. Let me see here.
I think they said it was 12 in the article, 12 torts, but they only listed like 5.
I'll have to get back to you guys on that and look. I have asked this of the commissioners to give me a rundown of what are the torts and what are the what are considered specifically just tort notices and what are actual suits. And I think that they've given it to me, but I don't know. And also I will email them tomorrow and I will ask. But I want to say that there are a total of 12. Like, for example, I didn't issue a tort notice in my lawsuit. We just filed the suit because it happened so quickly. So we didn't file a notice of a tort. But I want to say that it's more than half. So if there are 12, I want to say that there are like 6 suits that he is named and a part of, or maybe 7. But I will check into that for total and for sure and get that and give that total to you guys. I will check in and get that information here in the next day or so. But it's crazy what's going on in Henry County. It's insane what he and his chief deputy and the family members in these people's lives. I mean, listen, I got to be honest. When I was on the police department, it was MySpace, and YouTube was a baby. It wasn't anything like it is, but Facebook just started to barely start becoming a thing when I was in law enforcement. I think I got on in like 2009 in Facebook. And I would have been mortified. Matter of fact, if there would have been something that would have happened while I was in law enforcement and a mother or a father or my grandparent or a wife, someone like that of mine reached out and spoke to someone in my behalf, I would have been absolutely beside myself. Matter of fact, I told everybody, do not take up for me. Do not do that. Don't fight my battles. I do that now. I do that now, honestly. I've got to be honest. Hold on. When Mike Jones goes on a roll, my mother wants to get on and say shit. Now, I've kept her at bay and I've kept others at bay for a long time. Now, the fact that my mother is politically active and politically engaged, she'll get on and fight with people, and give it to them. She'll give it to them, and stand there toe to toe with the best of them. And while she will sometimes come to my aid, you don't see that happening. I would never allow that. I remember when I first started blogging, before I did the podcast, before I did this, before I did Bilbrey Live, before the Bastards of Politics, before Perception is Reality, when I just would blog and write on YouTube or on Facebook, and another thing that I wrote on, I would be arguing with people on social media when I would post my little articles. People would be in the comments fighting with me. And sometimes like my wife would get on and argue, and I would be like, no, don't do that. You can't do that. Like, I don't have a problem with you getting on and stating your opinion, but don't just get on and argue in my defense against somebody. Don't get on and take up for me. Don't, and I know it's hard to do, but I would never let somebody do that. There is no way. And the fact that Sproles has his sister doing it is nuts. The fact that Josh Smith is now in the fray, and that Josh Smith's son is in the fray. There's a lot of people that I have heard said they have had a lot of respect for Josh Smith, and I'm one of those people. Even though Sproles is an asshole and is dumb and does all this nonsense, and I know that to a certain extent Josh Smith as the chief deputy has to follow along, I always respected him because I thought that there was somewhere in there where he would be like, no, I'm not going to cross this line. But I will tell you, I have completely foregone any of the respect that I had. That is gone. I have no respect left for Josh. And I've heard a lot of people saying that Josh has burnt that bridge with them because of what he has done and what he's continuing to do in the name of defending Sproles' bullshit actions. And that's bad for Josh, because I think Josh has been a decent person. I think he's been an okay law enforcement officer, and I think that at one point he had a conscience and had a head on him, on his shoulders. But
Kristopher, do you need to reboot? Oh, crap. So we do this a different way. Hi, everyone. We have a frozen podcaster. Let's give him a call, shall we?
Man, when did you lose me?
About a minute and a half ago.
Difference.
And you're, here you go.
What?
It unfroze for a second. Keep moving, talk.
It's told me something went wrong.
Okay.
Give me a second. I'm trying to come back in.
Okay. Well, I'm going to keep you on here so people can be entertained by our speaker conversation.
Okay, yeah, fine. Hold on here. Let me try to get this thing going. I've just been talking the whole time. I didn't know. Check. Okay, here we go.
Okay, you're going to have to add that one.
Sorry about that.
All right, let's take that one down. Oh, there it goes.
I don't know where that cut out there. Sorry about that. That was insane.
That was
I was just
bizarre.
talking and
We were
talking
in here
and talking.
twice.
That was really strange. So what I was saying,
cutting off the internet.
Yeah, that's very believable. So we're gonna get out of here. The bottom line is I'm going to have to look up tomorrow, but what I've heard from my notes here and going back, and I'll have to double check with the commissioners and see for my emails tomorrow. But I believe currently there, of all of the lawsuit tort claim notices, the only ones that are currently filed are the 2 ACLU suits. Everything else is currently just a tort claim. So nothing else has technically actually been filed yet. But I am aware that there will be at least a couple more of those that will be filed. And that doesn't mean anything because this is a long process, specifically if it is a federal lawsuit. They are not things that just go wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. They are very long and drawn out. So, all right, folks, that's going to do it for us tonight. I'm going to tell you, just FYI, we will not be on tomorrow. We will not be on tomorrow. Tomorrow is Friday. We will not be on. If something happens tomorrow, we might possibly go live Saturday, but I will have to see. I've got a couple things I've got to do. I know I was off one day this week, but we'll just have to make up for it on the flip side of things. We're definitely off tomorrow. We might be back Saturday if something happens tomorrow that we need to cover Saturday. If not, we will be back Sunday. And the way that you will know for sure, if we do go live Saturday, I will post the video for it tomorrow. So I will put it in the duck and have it ready tomorrow. So if you don't get a notice or you check onto YouTube and there's no video, no episode 205 by, say, 4 or 5 o'clock tomorrow for Saturday, then there's no show Friday or Saturday, and we will be back Sunday. So you guys have a wonderful night. Have a wonderful Friday, last day of work for a lot of you. Have a great weekend. If we see you Saturday, we'll see you Saturday. If not, we'll see you Sunday. You guys have a great weekend. And hey, remember to go down there, hit that like button, hit the subscribe, do all of that stuff that you need to do. And share the link, share the show. Tell everybody that you know. And when you come back on Sunday or Saturday, bring a friend. All right, you guys take care. Have a great evening. God bless each and every one of you. We will see you next time. It's been fun. You guys have a great evening. Goodbye.